So, welcome, and welcome to those of you who are watching on the recording, and of course, welcome to those of you who are here live. So, it's what was it? Our third week. Last week we looked at Quest. The first week we looked at Beginnings. So this week, almost under the same bracket as Quests, really. We're looking at heroes or heroines. So, from quests, I could be from quests to those who are doing the quests, heroines, heroes, or who are involved in these journeys. So, just a question before we start: who were your heroes growing up? Who did you have posters on your wall when you were a teenager or at college or whatever? Was it a band or was it a teacher of some kind? I don't suppose you had your guru up on the wall at that age. I don't suppose you had an altar. But which actors did you like? Or was a parent a hero to you or a grandparent? Have a think. You don't have to answer unless you want to. And who do you admire now? Genuinely, who? I won't say lights your fire, that's something else, but who inspires? Could be a fictional character. I always wanted to be Obi-Wan in Star Wars. That kind of wisdom, that kind of knowledge. Uh, you must have someone. I'm sure you have. Have a think about that in the week. Who do we look up to? Well, who looks up to us? Are we worthy of someone looking up to us? I don't know. Okay, so heroes. Why do we have stories? I don't mean the stories we self-create. I mean, why do we pick up books? Why have I got so many blooming books? Okay, let's look at a poem about stories. This is from Brand New Ancients, a poet called Kay Tempest. She's a performance poet, so they're often quite fast and almost rapped. I'm not going to try and rap for you, but here we go. We are perfect because of our imperfections. We must stay hopeful. We must stay patient, because when they excavate the modern day, they'll find us, the brand new ancients. See, all that we have here is all that we've always had. We have jealousy and tenderness and curses and gifts. But the plight of a people who have forgotten their myths and imagine that somehow now all that there is a sorry plight, all isolation and worry. But the life in your veins, it is godly, heroic. You were born for greatness, believe it, know it. Take it from the tears of the poets. There's always been heroes and there's always been villains, and the stakes may have changed, but really there's no difference. There's always been greed and heartbreak and ambition and bravery and love and trespass and contrition. We're the same beings that began, still living in all of our fury and foulness and friction, everyday odysseys, dreams, and decisions. The stories are there if you listen.
So if you settle yourself a little, maybe move the head a little bit of a nod, just loosen up a bit. If you want to bring the shoulder and drop them a few times, and just generally loosen. And then if you bring your hands to the top of your thighs, you can do this on a chair if you're not so happy on the floor. And just drift yourself to your left, just a little over the left kind of thigh, kind of thigh, left thigh. Drift your way around to the center line and take a few deep breaths. And then gently, of course, up on the right. You don't need to go super slow. We're going to look at Andromeda. So Andromeda's changed to a rock. It's been put there as a meal for a sea monster. And in the story, Andromeda's rescued uh, by Perseus. Perseus swoops down riding on a Pegasus, obviously. So keep gently moving. And then when you get next time to the top, pause a little, lift your chest, and look up. Open the eyes that little bit wider and hover there. On a more black night, when the stars are bright and the cloud-veiled moon is high, if you search near the wings of Pegasus, you can see her in the sky. Relax the head and drift down to the left. A few deep breaths as you head forwards for a moment. And again at the top. Nice wide eyes. a more black night, and the stars, they're bright. The cloud-veiled moon is high. If you search near the wings of Pegasus, you can see her in the sky. Let the mouth open a little. And then down, no, then gently down on the left. And just make one rotation the other way. Nice and slow. Until once again, you're either forwards or upright. So if you've got the fingers in the crease at the top of the legs, leave them there, but don't have the kind of thumb pointing back. Have the whole hand on the crease at the top of the thigh, the base of the abdomen. And then bring the shoulders up. Drop the chin in a little. If you're comfortable to, draw the kind of space between the navel and the pubic bone back, a little below the navel back. You may find that with the tummy pulled in, the breathing's a little higher. Think a little darker and denser. And then very, very gently allow the abdomen to relax, the head to slowly come up, and the shoulders to slowly, slowly drop down and rest. Once more, hands to the top of the thighs, shoulders lifted, chin dropping in, and navel back. Chained fast to a rock, she awaits her fate. As the great sea monsters prey, as she hides in fear, she could hear the hiss of Cetus on his way. Very slowly release the abdomen. The head. And so slowly the shoulder. But wait. It's the swish of the Pegasus' wings, with Pegasus riding high on a more black night where the stars in flight, and you can see them ride away. Escaped and free. That's right. Okay. Do we leave the Greek? Throw them away for a minute and instead go to India? Yeah. Arjuna, the classic warrior in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, those main texts of Hindi mythology. Some say Hindi history, but that's debatable. Certainly mythology. And now a large part of the yoga canon, the hero pose and so on, or the warrior pose, sorry, wide legged, one foot turned out, arms up. And there's three basic warrior poses in Hatha yoga, um, one of which is a ballot. And there's a similar one in Kumne, which we wouldn't dare call warrior, it's called something else. Exercise 58 in my note. Or I can't tell you the title. I will later. Arjuna, his main story, certainly the Mahabharata. I don't know if you know it at all. I used to teach a yoga teacher training course for teachers, and they had the philosophy bit towards the end of the course. They did all the anatomy and stuff. But at the end of the course, after about a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, we go away on retreat, and I used to present some of the philosophy as a puppet show for them. So they'd upend the table, and I'd be behind it. And they'd all have their teddy bears as all the warriors laid out ready for war on the opposing side. Now Arjuna is standing on one side of the valley with his army, with its family's army, but he's looking over the valley, and on the other side of the hill, the other side of the valley, is the opponent army. And he looks and he realizes there's a lot of his cousins and families, extended in the family, and certainly royalty and so on, and realizes he's compelled to fight them. And he has a bit of a crisis of confidence. And his charioteer, the guy who's driving his chariot, turns out to be Krishna in the human form. And they have this conversation about Dharma, what his duty is, his Dharma is. And he's compelled to fight. His Dharma is to protect, but it's against his conscience. So there's this whole very famous conversation about your duty and what it means to be. And of course, he has to fight. He's compelled to. And we think, okay, that's some far-flung story. But at the time that, just after that retreat, one of the students wrote to me and sent me an article of the firemen who were attending I can't remember the name of it, the tower block that burnt down in London, West London. I don't know if you remember it. Might not mean anything to you, Karina, I don't know, but there's a massive public housing, kind of social housing tower block that burned because the outside. And the firemen were inside, going up through this tower block. And they were ordered to come out. The firemen were ordered to come out. And their conscience was kind of, well, there's still people in there. So there was this big kind of debate by a couple of firemen on about halfway up as to whether they should follow orders or whether they should battle through. And it's the same kind of debate. Do we do what we're kind of conscience is telling us, or do we do what our management is telling us, as it were? And then I thought, what must it be like for your land at war? What must it have been like in the First or Second War? You know, either people being conscientious objectors and then subjected to ridicule, or whether they went off to fight. And of course, that's a very contemporary thing as well now. You're in Eastern Europe or you're in America. So it's not that highfalutin that something written 400 years ago still has relevance. So let's do the warrior pose as it appears in Cumnay. Don't quote me and call it the warrior pose ever. And then we'll do the bow pose from a different discipline. So come to your feet, forget the words for a minute, and we'll just play with the energies of body. And then I'll read you as usual poem if I can find it in this pile of papers. So have a shake out. You've been sitting and very patient. If you need to rub your legs, you can. In all these exercises, particularly the wide leg ones, look after your knees and look after your lower back. So when you're ready, just allow your feet to drift wide. Now the book says the feet should be at right angles if you turn them out. My own feeling and my own practice is the back foot follows a little, so the knee is happier. But if you want to go by the rules and have your heels in line and your feet at right angles to each other, otherwise turn in a little bit. You can turn to face your turned out foot. The hands either rest on the hips Or it's often taught with the hands on the lower back and the elbows drawn back, which gives a bit of a lift to the chest. And then very, very slowly you can bend that little knee. And you kind of find a place to rest. It's not so deep that you collapse, nor is it not much at all. It feels just right. Your torso's verticalish. There might be a slight inclination upwards behind the heart, and the gaze is just above the horizon. Let the breath settle into the lower body. And then slowly straighten your left leg, or sorry, your bent leg, and turn the foot in. Of course, your other foot can then turn, torso can turn, and gently find the resting point. You might need to go up and down a few times. And then gently up, turn the foot. Now, there's a number of ways we can do this. We can move from side to side like that. And that's how it's first described in the book. It then goes on and gives you an option in that you can do it on the breath. So kind of turning on the in, dropping on the out, or the other way around, and then coming up on the corresponding part of the breath. We're not going to do that, although it does say it in the text as one option. The other option, if you want to, is to go down, and then as you turn, to stay down. So it becomes a bit more dynamic in the legs. So you've got three options, really. Just have a play with it. If you want to just do it as we've done it, you can do. Or if you want to stay low with it, you can do. In all three versions, you're more or less upright with the torso. So just be wary of leaning forward. Not that it really matters. And the speed and any duration of holding is your own. and then gently back to center in your own time. And just allow the kind of power of that posture to seep in a little. So there's a quality of the sound that's very present. You might just want to take the arms a little off the side. Very ready, very present. Quite alive with it without composing. It's a little bit Western gunfighter, ready to go. Kind of got that readiness with it. Now I should have was versed in a lot of fighting technique. He also became a very skilled diplomat. And one of those, of course, is archery. So although he's an Indian hero or an Indian character, the exercise we've just done is Tibetan. So we're going to move a bit north now into China and do an exercise appropriated from there. So if the arms come up, keep the legs wide or re-step them wide. The arms come up. We won't worry too much about the positioning of the hands. So it's a in brief, it's a very light fist, but with fingers at the first joint, not closed as a fist. Kind of a flat hand for the upper of the shoulder. Held like that, I don't think you can see, as opposed to like that. The other hand is the same, except the index finger and thumb are extended. Again, it's not like that. It's like that. And the wrist here is flexed, and the wrist here is open. So the hands come up. You drop in height both knees, and then extend one arm away and the other arm away. You want to kind of line from wrist to elbow. You look at the index finger, it's lifted and beyond it. And then gently come in and come up. And the same on the other side. Don't worry too much about the hand. And gently back. Or the archer. And you can do this on the breath. I would extend away on the exhale. And gather on the inhale. Couple more each way. Or have a rest. Take out. That's allowed. And then relax. when you're ready, you can bring yourself quietly to your seat.
Bram,
Yeah.
could you turn your microphone up a little bit? I'm
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course.
struggling tonight.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Thank you.
I think, oh, it's come out. I'm sorry, the microphone cut out. When I pushed it back to come out of the picture like that, the wires came out. So it would be the computer mic. So I'll re-record the voice on the recording. I do apologise. I should have shouted after earlier. No, but it's my fault entirely. Okay. Drive all blames into one. What was I going to do? Oh, yes. A final boss to under Arjuna. And you can do the boss for now with the text out. So if you step a foot onto the floor, doesn't matter which side, and rest either a hand or your arm on that back, and the other hand on the opposing knee. Could then lengthen up a little and perhaps lean away from the hand on the knee. If you want to, you can incline the head. That becomes a little softer, or keep the head up and open, which is a slightly different attitude. And then relax that for a moment. And then repeat it on that side. And then rest it. And then the other side. You're leaning very slightly away. That's it. And then rest it. One more time on that side. and then sit. If you want to sit with the legs out or you need to rest back or anything, you can do. Arjuna, the warrior prince. My first mind crush was Arjuna, the warrior prince. I wanted his swagger, his style. I wanted his wild determination, his heart, his ambition, his laser focused, and the precision. I'll start again. I wanted his swagger, his style. I wanted his wild determination, his heart and his ambition, his latest focus and the precision of his arrows. I wanted his thirst for learning, the fire burning in his eyes. I wanted his endless faith, his fiercelessness, and the fierceness of his love. And on the battlefield of life, I wanted to fight like him and set the world alight like him and stand up for what's right like him. So this is what I do. This is who I channel. Deep in my own mind, I step into that silver armor and lift my Godiva, my bow, and I take aim. Who do you aspire to be? Okay. You could stay relaxed and repose, or you could loosen up again if you want. So, April last year, I took a week off teaching to attend a festival up in Newcastle, north of England. Uh, it was a puppetry festival, essentially. And I went up to attend some workshops. There were a lot of performances as well in the evening, a lot of street theatre as well. But one of the workshops I attended was writing for puppetry. And what I was introduced to at the beginning of that workshop was a book called A Hero is a Thousand Faces by a guy called Joseph Campbell. And it's essentially outlining for writers the hero's journey, or one of the versions of the hero's journey, which in a way Karina summed up at the beginning. So it starts with someone in a normal world, the everyday mundane, plodding along, getting on with life. And at some point, there's a call to adventure. There's a turning point within the story. And there's a kind of resistance and refusal of that call, or a questioning of it. And at that point in the story, there's introduced a mentor and an older, wiser character. If you think of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings coming to meet the hobbits in Hobbiton, in their little dwellings, suddenly this strange old man appears with a white beard, blowing amazing shapes with his pipe. And then the challenge begins. They cross some sort of threshold. They step out of their safety zone. And the bulk of the story then is what happens. So they meet allies, they meet tests, they meet temptations, and so on. And at some point in that quest, they meet the kind of innermost cave, their lowest point, their inner demons, their self-doubt. All that comes up. And that's where we kind of identify with these heroes, because we have those self-doubts as well. And it goes on like that until there's a kind of final fight and somebody's defeated somewhere. And the return back home, and the kind of triumph and the celebration, the return of the hero. And they're generally shown as a changed character by then. They've grown. And there's a kind of something that was brought back. Perhaps treasure or whatever, or an elixir or a new love or whatever, brought back. And they're back into normality. So there's that kind of hero's trajectory. And of course, it's the psychological stuff of the main character is what's interesting. The three parts, the departure, the intuition, the change, the catalyst, the character arc, and then the return. So something happens to us. It takes us out of the ordinary. Sometimes it's a huge calamity that we weren't expecting. Sometimes it's a little thing like stubbing your toe. You get that moment of swearing and then it's okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'll learn not to do that again. So there's this cycle, you can call it, where we learn and relearn, or we face a challenge and we get over it, and life goes on. And the hero's journey is just amplified. And sometimes it's set in strange and wonderful worlds. And the classic ones that we grow up with are the ones we remember. So the Enid Blytons, where the kids are forced to fight crime and go off the secret, what is it, Secret Seven or whatever, one of the Seven's a dog. Those classic kids books that we used to read. Lord of the Rings, of course. Giant journey. Put that ring in fires. All the dwarves and elves they meet, and the orcs. All the challenges. And the dwarves. I'll give you a dwarf quote if you want. Lord of the Rings, one of your Easter eggs. If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world, he said. That's Thorin Oakenshield. I think he was played by Brian Blessed in the movie. Could be wrong on that. One of the dwarfs anyway. Okay. Why did I tell you all that? Because how it relates back. That's why. It's the psychological subtext of character, the character's growth that makes them the hero. How on earth do we put all that into movement? It's a journey, isn't it? So really any come day exercise would do. It starts at 0, it moves into a movement, and it comes back to repose, doesn't it? So we could do it with anything, couldn't we? Just symbolise that. Have you got an idea what you'd like to do? Something relaxing. Yeah. Any suggestions before I dictate? Your glass. We do a lying down one. Well, there's one thumbs up for that. Let's do a lying down one. Can't remember what it's called. Come onto your back, have a little bit of room to stretch your arms out and your legs out. You can throw a blanket on the floor if you want to lie on it, or your yoga mat, or whatever you've got to hand, or just the carpet. I could give me a prick. Now, if at any point you can't hear, just unmute yourself and shout. I'll keep the camera microphone close. So if you start on your back, start with your legs bent, your feet flat. Your arms to the sides. Arms don't have to be at right angles, they can be a little below. Go with what's comfortable, but ideally palms up. If you need a little lift for the back of the head to help you keep the neck long and the throat relaxed, you can do. You may not need it. You guys are supple. So here's our everyday repose. Breaths, Mayhem. The world's turning. Life is good. And then, in the knowledge that you might have to go somewhere, just bring the feet close. Edges of the feet touching, soles of the feet still down. And let the knees fall wide. Keep the soles of the feet generally ostensibly down. You might find you lift a little on the inner arch. Kind of anticipation there that something might happen. And then very, very gradually you can allow the lower back to flatten a little, the pelvis to turn a little, tails inclining upwards a touch. I mean by that. And then slowly, slowly lift away. You're almost carried by the movement rather than you moving. You find a kind of resting point there. And then just feel a little bit compelled by circumstance to lift a tiny bit higher. Don't be silly with it, but just work that little bit harder, just on the edge maybe of your comfort zone. Bearing in mind it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. For those of you live. And then very, very slowly you can make that journey back down to the ground. Let the pelvis rest. Slide your legs one after the other away. And reap the rewards in rest of that adventure. So we're going to repeat that, but we'll put a bit more play in it, a bit more fun in it. Why not? Life's too short not to play. So here we are at rest, lying on the beach. Oh yes, oh life's good. Suddenly you get this compulsion. Something tells you there's something not right. So you step your feet to the floor. You open the knees in readiness. You realise there's a job to do, and the pelvis slowly lifts. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's me that's chosen. Why is that then? Oh my goodness. And then the wise voice says, just get on with it. And the pelvis can lift a little higher. I'm making this up, don't worry. You can just do the exercise and say, shut up, Brad. You reach a point. Now just drift the hips very subtly from side to side a little bit. Let the waters get a little bit choppy. And take an easy breath, determined breath in. Lift that a little bit higher. Push on. Be sensible, but push on. Now playfully have an equivocation. Do I want to stay up? Can I do this? Oh, how long's this going on? I can do this. I can do it. And then very, very slowly, it's all over. Come home to the ground. And rest. Forget all the words and just enjoy the rest now. For I'm being silly. If you want to just repeat the exercise one more time, you can do, with and without your own commentary, or just the exercise for the experience of it. But rest completely at the end as your reward for your practice. Otherwise, you could just lie there, or you could sit if you really want. You're very welcome to remain lying down. If at all you want to change your position or put a blanket over yourself, you can do. So many years ago, when my mum still had some residual hearing, I took her to meet a poet, a performance poet, a guy from Birmingham. So he had a kind of Birmingham, Middle England accent. Brummy. Uh, he grew up in the suburbs of whatever region it was, uh, and faced a lot of racism growing up. A very poor family. But he became a poet laureate briefly. Uh, and he's a patron, or was, he's now passed on, but he was patron of the Prison Phoenix Trust, which takes yoga into prisons, which is where I first encountered him. He's quite a accessible poet. I can't read this for you in a Brummy accent, so I find a poem of the evening. It's called Heroes. Heroes are funny people. They are lost and they're found. Some heroes are brainy, and some are muscle bound. Plenty heroes die poor, and are heroes only after dying. Some heroes make you smile when you feel like crying. Some heroes are made heroes as a political trick. Some heroes are sensible, and some heroes are thick. Some heroes are not heroes because they do not play the game. A hero can be young or old or have a silly name. Drunks and sober types like have heroes of their kind. Most heroes are heroes, out of sight and out of mind. Some heroes shine a light upon a place where darkness fell. You could be a hero soon. Yes, you can never tell. So if you see a hero, you better treat him with respect. Poets and painters say heroes are a prime subject. Most people have heroes, even though some don't admit. I'd say we're all heroes if we do our little bit. And one Final Lord of the Ring quote. This is from the Fellowship. Frodo tells Gandalf, "I wish all this hadn't happened in my lifetime." And Gandalf replies, "So do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that's not for them to decide. All we have to decide, young hobbit, is what to do with the time that's given to us." All that we have to decide is what to do with the time that's given to us.